What if your entire life, every event, every person you meet, every success or failure wasn't random at all? What if reality itself was being shaped, moment by your own subconscious mind? This might sound like a scene from a movie, but it was the life's work of one of the most mysterious scientists of the 20th century, Jacobo Grinberg. A man who dared to study consciousness not as an abstract idea, but as a living force that builds the world around you. And what's even more fascinating, he vanished without a trace. In this video, you'll discover the hidden science behind Grinberg's radical claim that your mind is not separate from reality. It creates it. You'll learn how to reprogram your subconscious the same way Grinberg believed shamans could alter perception itself. And by the end, you'll understand how this knowledge can help you manifest an entirely new life. But first, who was this man? Jacobo Grinberg was a Mexican neurophysiologist and psychologist. From an early age, he was fascinated by human consciousness. Not just how the brain works, but what awareness truly is. After the sudden death of his mother, Jacobo became obsessed with understanding how thoughts, emotions, and the invisible forces of the mind shape our world. He earned his PhD in psychophysiology from the National Autonomous University of Mexico and even studied at New York University. But unlike most scientists, Grinberg wasn't satisfied with the limits of Western science. He went deeper into the realm of mysticism, spirituality, and the ancient practices of Mexican shamans. He spent years traveling through remote villages, learning from healers and shamans who claimed they could see and shape energy fields. Rather than dismissing them, Jacobo studied them with scientific instruments, measuring brainwaves, attention, and intention. He discovered something incredible. When two people entered deep meditative states together, their brains began to synchronize. It was as if their consciousnesses were communicating directly beyond words, beyond distance. From these experiments, he developed his most important idea, the Syntergic Theory. According to Grinberg, there exists an invisible lattice or matrix that connects all living beings. Your consciousness interacts with this lattice, and the patterns of your mind, especially the subconscious ones, determine how reality appears to you. In simple terms, change your mind's pattern and you change your world. Imagine that your subconscious is like a projector, and the world you see is the movie it's playing. Most people try to change the movie on the screen, chasing new jobs, relationships, or circumstances. But Grinberg showed that the real power lies in changing the film inside the projector. When you alter the subconscious image, the outer world must shift to match it. This isn't just philosophy. Modern neuroscience now supports parts of his vision. Studies on neuroplasticity prove that repeated thoughts literally rewire the brain. What you believe, you become. What you focus on, you create. And yet, what makes Jacobo's story even more intriguing is how it ended. In December 1994, just as he was about to publish groundbreaking research, Jacobo Grinberg disappeared without a trace. No body, no signs of struggle, only unanswered questions. Some say he was silenced for revealing too much about human potential. Others believe he transcended the physical plane, merging with the very field he studied. Whatever the truth, his message remains timeless and powerful. Your subconscious mind is not a prison, it's a portal, and when you learn how to reprogram it, you can manifest a completely new life. In this video, you'll explore the exact methods Grinberg hinted at, how to uncover your hidden programs, rewrite them, and align with the infinite field of creation. So stay until the end, because every step builds on the last. By the time we finish, you'll see your mind and your life in a completely new light. Welcome to Awakened Synchronicity, where ancient wisdom meets modern science. If you're ready to awaken your mind and create a reality you truly desire, make sure to subscribe, and let's begin this journey into the extraordinary world of Jacobo Grinberg. Before we talk about the techniques to reprogram your subconscious mind, we need to understand one fundamental truth that Jacobo Grinberg spent his life trying to prove. Reality is not fixed. It is not a rigid external structure that exists outside of you. Instead, it is flexible, alive, and constantly shaped by your consciousness. Grinberg believed that consciousness doesn't simply observe reality, it actually participates in creating it. In other words, you are not just a spectator of life, you are a co-creator. Every thought, every belief, and every emotion acts like a signal that interacts with what Grinberg called the lattice, a universal field that connects everything. To understand this, imagine your mind as a lens. The lens doesn't just see the world, it colors it. If the lens is tinted with fear, everything looks threatening. If it's clear, everything looks possible. Grinberg discovered that our subconscious mind is the lens that determines how we experience reality. It is the invisible filter that interprets and shapes the world before we are even aware of it. This means that what you call reality is not purely objective. Two people can stand in the same room and see completely different worlds, one filled with opportunity, the other with obstacles. The difference is not out there, it's inside. It's in the subconscious patterns that define how each person interprets the energy around them. Grinberg's experiments showed this clearly. When two people entered a meditative state together, their brain activity began to synchronize. Their minds started to operate as one system, as if both were plugged into the same field of awareness. This proved that reality is not an isolated experience inside your skull. It's a shared creation, constantly shaped by attention and intention. He explained that your attention is the creative brush that paints on the canvas of the lattice. Wherever your attention goes, energy flows, and matter starts to organize itself accordingly. But here's the key: most of your attention is not conscious. It's driven by the deep, hidden programs stored in your subconscious mind. These programs are not evil or broken. They are simply old. They are the collection of impressions, memories, and emotions that have built up since childhood. Some of them empower you, like the belief that you can learn and grow. Others hold you back, like the quiet voice that says, "I'm not enough," or "life is hard." These subconscious beliefs act like a code that the universe reads and responds to. So, even when you consciously desire something, success, love, peace, if your subconscious holds a conflicting belief, the subconscious wins. It's like pressing the accelerator and the brake at the same time. You go nowhere. That's why Grinberg emphasized inner work before outer action. You cannot truly change your life until you change the programs that are projecting it. He often said that the subconscious is like a mirror covered in dust. The dust is made up of fear, doubt, guilt, and memories that no longer serve you. When you begin to clean that mirror through awareness, meditation, and self-observation, you start to reflect a clearer version of reality. The world outside begins to shift because the world inside has changed. This is where science meets mysticism. In physics, observation affects what is observed. In psychology, expectations shapes experience. In spirituality, inner vibration determines outer manifestation. Grinberg's work connected all three. He showed that consciousness is not limited to the brain, it is part of the fabric of existence itself. So before you can reprogram your subconscious mind, you must first realize this deeper truth. You are already creating reality, all the time. Every thought you repeat, every belief you hold, and every emotion you nurture sends a pattern into the lattice. That pattern becomes your experience. Grinberg's message was simple but revolutionary. You are living inside your own projection. When you understand that, you stop feeling like a victim of life and start acting as its designer. Reality bends to the structure of your consciousness, and when you shift that structure, the world must follow. Right now, as you're listening to these words, your conscious mind is paying attention. You're processing ideas, reflecting, perhaps even feeling inspired. But underneath all of that, beneath your awareness, another part of your mind is running quietly, automatically. That part is your subconscious mind, and it never stops. Before we talk about how to change your reality, we need to see what your subconscious is actually doing. It's like the engine room of a ship. You might be steering on the surface, but deep below, powerful machinery determines where the vessel is truly headed. That machinery is made up of your habitual beliefs, your identity, and your emotional patterns, and it operates mostly without your permission. From the moment you were born, your subconscious began recording everything: sounds, emotions, experiences, rewards, and punishments. It learned what was safe, what was dangerous, what earned love, and what caused pain. Over the years, these experiences built invisible programs that now control how you think, react, and feel. The way you handle money, love, conflict, even opportunity, most of it comes not from conscious choice, but from those buried instructions written long ago. If your subconscious mind could speak, it would whisper the same messages it's been repeating for decades. I can't. I'm not enough. Life is hard. People can't be trusted. These phrases might not sound loud in your thoughts, but they echo in your emotions and behaviors. You don't need to think them consciously, you feel them. And because the subconscious mind operates beneath awareness, you often mistake those feelings for truth. Jacobo Grinberg explained this beautifully. He said that the subconscious is like an underwater current. You can sail the surface all you want, changing direction with willpower or motivation, but as long as the current beneath stays the same, you will always be pulled back into familiar patterns. That's why people repeat the same cycles, the same relationships, the same struggles, the same disappointments. The current doesn't lie. It always takes you where it's programmed to go. The shift begins when you realize you can change that current. Grinberg taught that when you alter the internal structure of your consciousness, the external structure of your life begins to transform automatically. It's not about fighting the surface waves. It's about reprogramming what flows beneath them. So how do we do that? It starts with awareness. Awareness is the light that reveals the hidden architecture of your subconscious mind. Begin by observing your emotional reactions instead of being ruled by them. Notice the thoughts that appear when something challenges you. Do you immediately think, "I'll fail," or "I can't handle this"? These are clues. Each reaction points to a belief that has been operating silently for years. Jacobo believed that awareness itself begins to change these patterns. When you observe a thought without judgment, you pull it from the shadows into the light of consciousness. What is seen can be changed. What remains unseen controls you. So start small. Each time fear, doubt, or anger arises, pause. Don't fight it. Just notice it. This is the first step to rewriting the script. The next technique is repetition and affirmation. Grinberg studied how repeated mental activity rewires the neural pathways of the brain, a phenomenon now known as neuroplasticity. He discovered that when you consistently repeat a thought or image with emotion, the subconscious begins to accept it as truth. This is why ancient mantras, prayers, and affirmations have power. They are not magic words. They are instruments that tune the subconscious. The repetition imprints a new code into the mind's deeper layers. So if your old program said, "I struggle," you can rewrite it with "I flow easily through life." If your subconscious believed, "I'm not enough," you can install, "I am more than enough." At first, these statements might feel fake or uncomfortable because your subconscious is comparing them to the old program. But if you keep repeating them with emotion, especially before sleep or after waking, when your mind is most receptive, the new code begins to take hold. Over time, you stop trying to believe. You simply know. The third technique is visualization and feeling. Grinberg found that the subconscious communicates in images, sensations, and emotions, not logic. This means you must speak its language. If you visualize the version of yourself who already lives your new life, confident, free, abundant, and you truly feel that reality in your body, your subconscious begins to reorganize around it. Close your eyes and imagine waking up as that version of you. Feel what it's like to live in that energy. The mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and real experience. It simply records the emotion. The more vividly you imagine it, the faster your subconscious begins to align your outer world to match it. This is what Grinberg meant when he said that consciousness participates in the creation of reality. You're not just daydreaming, you're programming. You're sending a signal through the lattice, and that signal interacts with the universe itself. Another crucial step is persistence. Your subconscious mind doesn't change overnight. Think of it as a massive river. It takes time to redirect its flow. You may spend years strengthening one pattern, so it will take patience to rewrite it. Grinberg often emphasized the importance of consistency, practicing your awareness, affirmations, and visualization daily. Even 5 minutes of focused inner work each day can gradually rewrite the subconscious code. And then there's your environment. The subconscious absorbs information from everything around you, the conversations you hear, the media you consume, the people you spend time with. If you surround yourself with negativity, doubt, and fear, those frequencies reinforce your old programs. But if you fill your space with inspiration, learning, and calm energy, your subconscious begins to absorb those vibrations instead. Create quiet moments each day, times when you disconnect from noise and turn inward. Grinberg practiced deep silence to connect with the Lattice, believing that when the mind becomes still, the subconscious opens like fertile soil. In that stillness, new seeds can take root. This is when you can speak directly to your deeper self, not through words but through feeling and intent. As you continue this practice, you'll notice subtle changes. You might start reacting differently to things that used to trigger you. You might feel calmer in situations where you once panicked. These are signs that your subconscious current is shifting. The same world, but a different lens. The same situations, but a new response. Jacobo used to describe this transformation as moving from automatic life to conscious life. Automatic life is when your past controls your present. Conscious life is when you become aware of your programs and choose new ones. The difference is enormous. One feels like survival, the other feels like creation. You no longer wake up dreading the day, you begin to sense possibility in it. You no longer replay the same emotional stories, you start writing new ones. Slowly, your inner dialogue changes. I can't becomes, I can learn. I'm not enough becomes, I am growing every day. I struggle becomes, I flow. I wish becomes, I create. This is the reprogramming process Jacobo Grinberg hinted at, not through external control, but through inner transformation. You don't need to fight your subconscious, you need to teach it. Like a child, it learns through repetition, emotion, and example. When you feed it new experiences, new feelings, and new thoughts, it begins to trust the new identity. And when the subconscious accepts that identity as truth, life begins to rearrange itself around it. The people you meet, the opportunities you attract, the timing of events, everything begins to reflect the new internal structure. Grinberg called this Syntergy, the synchronizing of inner and outer worlds through the field of consciousness. At this stage, you realize that your subconscious mind was never your enemy. It was simply following instructions. It was built to protect you, even when its methods caused pain. By rewriting those instructions, you awaken its true power, the power to align your inner and outer realities. This is the hidden science behind manifestation. It's not wishful thinking, it's conscious restructuring. When you change the underwater current, the beliefs, emotions, and stories that flow beneath your awareness, the surface of your life changes naturally. You don't have to force it, you just have to remember that you are both the programmer and the program. And once you begin to live from that truth, reality itself starts to respond in ways that feel almost magical, yet are perfectly aligned with the laws of consciousness that Jacobo Grinberg spent his life revealing. When we talk about reprogramming the subconscious mind, it's easy to think of it as something mystical or purely spiritual. But Jacobo Grinberg's work revealed that it's deeply scientific too, a bridge between consciousness and biology. between thought and the structure of the brain itself. He believed that human beings are not just observers of reality, but participants in its creation. And he spent decades trying to prove it through research that was ahead of its time. In one of his most fascinating experiments, Grinberg studied what he called brain synchrony. He invited pairs of participants to sit together in a quiet, meditative state. They were told to focus on connecting with each other, not through words, but through pure attention. When Grinberg and his team recorded their brain waves, they found something astonishing. The electrical activity of both brains began to synchronize. The same patterns appeared simultaneously, as if both people were linked by an invisible thread of awareness. Even more surprising, when the participants were separated into different rooms, sometimes even shielded from each other by electromagnetic barriers, the synchrony continued. When one person was shown a light flash, the other's brain reacted too, even though they couldn't see or hear it. Grinberg interpreted this as evidence of a shared field of consciousness, what he called the lattice. This lattice, he said, connects every living being and every particle of the universe. It's the background fabric through which information flows instantly. The subconscious mind is our personal interface with that universal field. What you think and feel sends ripples through the lattice, and those ripples shape the reality you experience. Modern physics and neuroscience are now slowly catching up to this idea. Quantum experiments show that particles can influence each other across distance, a phenomenon known as entanglement. In psychology, studies reveal that perception is not a passive process. The brain doesn't simply record reality, it constructs it. What you see, hear, and feel are interpretations filtered through expectation and memory, which means that your inner map defines your outer world. This brings us to one of the most important scientific principles that supports Grinberg's theory: neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means that the brain is not fixed. It constantly rewires itself based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. Each thought fires a network of neurons, and each repetition strengthens that network. Over time, the brain builds pathways like trails in a forest that make it easier for you to think, feel, or act in familiar ways. That's why habits are hard to break. Your subconscious prefers the paths it already knows, even if they're painful. But when you consciously introduce new thoughts, beliefs, and emotional experiences and repeat them, new neural pathways begin to form. The old ones start to weaken, and the brain literally reshapes itself to match your new identity. The realize was that this biological process mirrors the energetic one. When you change your inner map, your subconscious patterns and emotional resonance, your interaction with the lattice changes. The field around you begins to reorganize, people respond different, opportunities appear where there were none. Life starts to mirror the new structure you hold within. But there's something crucial to understand here. This transformation doesn't happen instantly. One of the biggest pitfalls people fall into is expecting immediate, dramatic results. They do an affirmation for a day or visualize a few times, and when nothing happens, they give up. The subconscious is patient. It works in layers. Each repetition rewires the pattern a little more. The visible world is always a delayed reflection of your inner world. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it, give it sunlight, and trust that the roots are forming. Grinberg often said that the mind's energy takes time to solidify into form. The lattice reorganizes gradually as your consciousness stabilizes in its new frequency. So don't rush the process. The real magic happens in the invisible phase long before results appear. Another pitfall is trying to control the how. People often attempt to force external events, to manipulate circumstances, other people, or timing. But this only creates resistance. Grinberg's research showed that when we try to control reality, we disrupt the natural synchrony between mind and field. The key is alignment, not control. When you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your desired reality, the field begins to flow naturally toward it. You don't need to chase outcomes. They start to emerge in unexpected ways. This is what Grinberg meant by syntergic alignment. The inner and outer patterns begin to match. The more you let go of the need to control, the faster the alignment unfolds. So, how do you know when things are actually shifting? The first signs are subtle. You might notice new thoughts arising, ideas you never entertained before. Maybe a problem that once felt impossible suddenly seems solvable. Or you wake up one morning feeling lighter, more hopeful, for no logical reason. That's not random, it's the subconscious adjusting its vibration. Soon after, your emotions begin to change. You may feel calmer in situations that used to trigger you. Old fears lose their grip. You might even experience synchronicities, those strange coincidences where the right person calls at the perfect time, or you stumble upon information that answers a question you were just asking. Grinberg believed these were not coincidences at all, but the lattice reflecting your new internal order. You'll also notice more flow. Life feels less like pushing against a current and more like being carried by it. Tasks that used to drain you become effortless. Opportunities begin to meet you halfway. Even challenges start to feel purposeful, as if guiding you toward growth rather than punishment. These are all signs that your consciousness is synchronizing with a new version of reality. But remember, the outer transformation often lags behind the inner one. Physical reality takes time to catch up with mental structure. Don't let impatience pull you back into old patterns. Trust the unfolding. If you want to begin reprogramming today, start simple. Pick one belief that limits you, just one. Maybe it's I'm not lucky, or I can't change, or I'm not worthy. Write it down. Then choose one powerful affirmation to replace it, something short, believable, and emotionally charged. For example, I am supported by life, or everything I need comes to me in perfect time. Now commit to repeating it for at least 7 to 30 days. Say it when you wake up, when you go to sleep, and whenever doubt appears. Don't just speak the words, feel them. Imagine how the new belief would change your posture, your expression, your choices. See yourself acting from that truth. If you miss a day, don't punish yourself. The subconscious responds to consistency, not perfection. What matters is the emotion you attach to the new belief. Feel gratitude as if it's already true. The more you embody it, the faster it becomes part of your subconscious identity. Grinberg believed that this practice doesn't just rewire the brain, it reshapes the energetic structure of your consciousness. You become a new signal within the lattice, and reality has no choice but to reorganize around that signal. That's how transformation becomes tangible. Not by forcing the world to change, but by becoming the kind of person for whom that new reality feels natural. It's also important to remember that this journey isn't about getting something. It's about becoming someone. Many people approach manifestation like a shopping list. They want money, love, recognition. But if the inner self remains the same, the outer success will feel hollow or temporary. The true reward is in awakening to your own creative power, realizing that you are both the sculptor and the clay. As you practice, you might begin to sense a deeper intelligence guiding you. Moments when life seems to move in perfect synchrony with your intentions. That's not imagination, that's connection. Grinberg described this state as expanded perception. It's when your mind begins to merge with the lattice, perceiving patterns that were invisible before. You start to feel that you're not separate from the universe. You are part of its unfolding rhythm. At this stage, doubt begins to fade. You no longer ask, will this work? You simply know it does. You see evidence everywhere, not always in grand miracles, but in small alignments that whisper, you're on the right path. Your intuition sharpens, your relationships shift, and your environment begins to echo the new vibration you hold. And it all began with one small choice: to change a belief, to repeat a new thought, to trust an unseen process. This is the essence of Jacobo Grinberg's work, the union of science and spirit, the meeting point of the measurable and the mystical. When you understand how consciousness interacts with the field of reality, you no longer feel powerless. You become the conscious participant in creation itself. You are not waiting for life to happen to you anymore. You are building it, moment by moment, belief by belief, neuron by neuron, and every time you choose alignment over fear, awareness over reaction, trust over control, you are shaping not only your own destiny, but also the greater field we all share. Grinberg once said that reality is like a mirror, reflecting the patterns of consciousness that gaze into it. Change the pattern, and the reflection must follow. Your mind, your brain, your energy, they are all instruments of creation, perfectly designed to work together. You are the builder of your mind, and thus the builder of your reality. The process begins the moment you decide to believe in that truth and to live as if it were already real. With the profound insights of Jacobo Grinberg as our guide, we've uncovered a simple yet transformative truth. You have the power to reprogram your subconscious mind and shape the reality you live in. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not passive. They are creative forces that weave the fabric of your experience. When you consciously align your inner world with the life you desire, the universe begins to mirror that alignment in return. So if you're ready, start your practice today. Choose one new belief, one clear intention, and nurture it daily. Trust the process. Every repetition, every mindful moment is a signal to the field of consciousness that you are becoming someone new. Remember, the universe isn't something outside of you. It's alive within you, constantly responding to who you decide to be. The moment you shift your inner frequency, reality begins to move with you. If this message inspired you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, Awaken Synchronicity, and join us on this journey of consciousness, transformation, and manifestation. Together, let's awaken to the deeper truth that you are the creator of your reality.